SUPERHOT.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to What It Does Well. SUPERHOT, Mind Control Delete, is a kind of sequel to SUPERHOT. This sequel was released in 2020 and is a great example of minimalism done well. This game's visual design has three main colors: white, red, and black, which work very well together. Throw in ambient occlusion and some reflective surfaces, and the game, despite the simple visuals, becomes a pleasure to look at. Extending the minimalist visuals is the music. Not only does it set the mood for the game, but it also enhances the visuals. For example, in the nightclub level, while the nightclub might not have all the club lighting, once the music starts to play, it comes well and truly alive. The music takes over for anything that the visuals might lack. And as a fan of minimalist design myself, I can tell you that minimalism can actually be much more difficult to do well than some of the other design choices, because you're not working with very much. Any mistakes become that much more obvious. Everything has to be pretty much perfect. Otherwise, all of it falls apart. And this also extends to the tight gameplay. The almost unnoticeable timing decisions, such as how often enemies spawn, the speed of bullets and thrown objects, the distance and placement of enemies at the very start of the level. All of these were very carefully calculated to produce some awesome combat scenes, which, in turn, makes the gameplay a lot of fun. It's also quite replayable as a sort of occasional hit of action whenever you might need it. Lastly, I have to admit, I have quite a dilemma here about the story and ending of Mind Control Delete. You see, the developers released this game for free to the owners of the original Superhot game, which makes it kind of like an expansion. But it's a standalone game for everyone else, with a price tag to match. The story and ending feel a lot more like an epilogue, an encore for the original game. And in this regard, it's done incredibly well. But because the release is a standalone sequel for everybody else, and because what it does well only talks about what a game does well, you might start seeing the dilemma that I'm in. You see, one of my goals with this channel is only to provide solid analysis and information. And I leave all purchasing decisions up to you. I'm not here to sell anything to anyone. But because of the way this game was released, I feel very much forced to break format. Just a tiny little bit. And do something that I normally would definitely not do. I'm going to have to give out a recommendation. And the recommendation is that you should play the original SUPERHOT game, which was released in 2016, first, and then decide whether you want to continue and play the Mind Control Delete standalone expansion. The reason for this is that way you are very much more likely to enjoy the ending and have a much more positive and richer experience overall. But I reiterate that is completely up to you. This is only a very small recommendation. So, who's this game for? Well, I'm going to assume that you have not played the original SUPERHOT. In that case, perhaps you really like the Matrix movie, or bullet time mechanics in general, in some other games. If you enjoy those sorts of things, then SUPERHOT, Mind Control Delete, can definitely keep you busy for up to 10 hours. And after you've finished the game, you might still want to perhaps occasionally drop in for some more action.